Alrighty guys, another day, another strength, and we got the second part of my story here. This is really the same timeline, but now we're going to talk about the coaching journey behind the scenes, right? So talk about the fitness journey in the last one, and now I'm going to talk about my coaching journey, right? So I attended Berklee College of Music for 2 years, right? I was going to school for music, and then I had to drop out due to the cost. And so after that, I was giving private music lessons and driving for Lyft and Uber as a side hustle. So that's what I was doing for work basically before I started coaching. And ever since I had started lifting, I was totally obsessed, and I still am. I knew that I wanted to make a change in my career for a number of reasons. So like with the music lessons, I liked it a lot, right? I really love music, but I kind of started to realize that I didn't really enjoy teaching it for some reason. I still don't know exactly why it was with that, because I really enjoy teaching lifting and coaching people. But I didn't want to be essentially a gig worker as I got older. I was kind of like barely scraping by financially, as you would imagine, right? Like it's not a very, the life of a gigging musician is not very stable, let's say. And I knew that these things were not compatible with my goals of getting married and starting a family, which thankfully I'm getting married in October of this year, which is great. And then hopefully starting a family soon after. But yeah, around March of 2021, I received an email from the Starting Strength Boston early interest list that they were looking for apprentice coaches. And so actually around this time, I was into like powerlifting and that style training and stuff. And so if you watched the fitness video, you knew that I had started with Starting Strength and kind of like, veered off into other stuff. And I had tried to get a couple of different powerlifting internships around this time, just prior to the Starting Strength Boston opportunity, right? So I actually applied for the TSA, the Strength Athlete with Bryce Lewis, and the Nori Powerlifting. And when I say applied, it was like, I think one had like an online application and one was like just email, and like didn't hear back for either one. So I was like, all right, I'm not getting those. And then I honestly, I went into Starting Strength not feeling super hot about it. But I was like, it could be fun. It's in-person coaching at least. The other stuff would have been like online coaching. And then so I went in, and basically when you start out as an apprentice, you just kind of like shadow, you're just watching, seeing what's going on. So I went in there, and then I watched the coaches at the time, which were Nicole and Jason. They are travel coaches, or they were at the time at least, and they helped us get this gym up and running in Boston. And then within like 2 hours of watching them, I was like, this is great, like this is what I want to do. And then I was totally sold. So I began coming into the gym 6 days a week, which is when we're open, closed on Sundays, which we were then and still are now. And I would be there like literally all day. I would get there for the first class at 5:30, so I'd show up at like 5:15, and then I would stay until like 6:30 in the evening. So like at least 12 hours most days. And so we'd have like, the classes, I'd be shadowing the coaches. As I got more experienced, I would start actually like coaching people on warm-ups and that sort of thing. And then I would do my training with Jason, who was usually there, and then Nicole would get there, and then we would usually do some kind of like coaching development between the classes, right? And then there was the actual classes, of course, as well. But yeah, so after about 5 months of this, our travel coaches at the time, they had to go. And then I was awarded the morning classes. Well, a more experienced apprentice from Starting Strength Austin came to Boston as our head coach, and that was Austin Camise, who stayed for about a year. And then in February of 2022, about 8 to 9 months into the apprenticeship, I passed the Starting Strength platform exam. And then a few months later, in May, I passed the oral exam, became a Starting Strength officially. So it took me like just under a year, by a few days, from when I started the apprenticeship to when I completed my Starting Strength certificate. So if you guys don't know, the SSC is pretty darn rigorous. It's no small feat at all. It's definitely the most challenging fitness cert that there is out there. Pretty much any other cert that I know of, not all of them, but a lot of them are, you kind of like, maybe there's like some study materials, but you kind of do it on your own. You take a multiple choice test, and then if you pass it, you get the cert. Starting Strength is you have to demonstrate your ability to coach the Starting Strength model with in-person clients in real time. So you have to go to Wichita Falls, Texas, in front of RIP and in front of all the platform coaches. And then you have to actually coach people and do a good job at it, because you're going to have a platform coach who is someone who's been a Starting Strength coach for a long, long time. And they're watching you, and then if you're not like pretty much as good of a coach as they are, then you don't pass the exam, right? And it's gotten only harder over the years. Even since I've taken it, it's probably even harder now. The standard just keeps increasing. But yeah, so I passed that, and then I passed the oral exam, which was also very challenging. But the platform is definitely the harder one, I would say. It's more nerve-wracking. The oral exam is over Zoom, but the oral exam is a 2-hour, it's basically like a thesis defense, right? Where you get kind of grilled by some smart people, and then multiple Starting Strength coaches who have their doctorate actually have compared the starting strength coach cert to their doctorate programs and said that they're like about comparable in terms of difficulty. Some are even more proud of their SSC than they are of their doctorate. But yeah, so that gives you some context as to the utility, the weight of carrying the starting strength cert. Very proud of it. And then I took over as head coach in October 22 at Starting Strength Boston. That was when Austin left. And so since then I've been the head coach. I've continued to hone my craft and experiment with different styles in my own training. I've earned the precision nutrition cert since then. That one I would say is much easier. Like, it's one of those where you just kind of, read through like a booklet. They have like videos for this one, and then you take a multiple choice exam. And if you score a certain amount, I forget what the amount is. I think it's like 70% or higher, then you get the cert. But yeah, and then I've also been developing the coaches at Starting Strength Boston, which was something new when I became a head coach, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, I coach myself. I don't have a coach, and I do that intentionally because I enjoy experimenting in my training. And I also believe, as I've talked about in other videos, like in the Mind Over Muscle series, that I really think that in order to be the best lifter that you can be, you have to learn to coach yourself, because there are certain things that only you can understand about your own training, your own, even like day to day and long term as well, like psychologically, physically, right? So you are the best coach that you can possibly have if you are willing to get started with that undertaking. But yeah, I like to experiment with my training and my nutrition and all that stuff to fully understand what each style of training feels like. So that way I can be a better coach to my clients. So if someone's like, I want to try this, I'll be like, all right, so I've tried it. I'll have you try it. Like, well, first I'll encourage you to not do it, and here's why. But then if you insist on doing it, I'll have you try it. And then like, I know exactly what you're feeling because I've already done it, right? So I definitely think that's very helpful with coaching. Helps me relate to my clients. They trust me more, definitely don't regret that at all. I currently have around 4,500 hours of coaching experience. I'm heading towards that, 10,000, which, the saying is like 10,000 hours is mastery of a skill. And that assumes an average of 30 hours per week. So when I started coaching, obviously I was coming in like all the time, so it's probably a lot more than that. And then like nowadays it's around probably like 30 to 35 on average, not including online coaching. But yeah, I should hit 10,000 hours in like 3 to 4 years. I feel like my abilities as a coach still improve dramatically each year and with each new experience. And around this time of year, actually, when I'm recording this, is when Starting Strength Boston first opened about 3 years ago. I think it was like maybe a couple of days ago, like very, very close to right now. But yeah, I definitely feel like I'm, still just improving a lot, which is great. And also thanks to the mentoring of many coaches within the Starting Strength Network, Pete Trupos, Josh Wells, Nicole and Jason, like I talked about, Austin, all those people, right? Very great. My short-term goals with coaching are to get Starting Strength Boston to 100 members, which we're currently nearing, which is like around capacity for a Starting Strength gym. And then the long-term goal is to grow Starting Strength Boston as a brand, so open more gyms, right? Help coach the other coaches at the gym, get them their SSCs. We're almost there with pretty much all of them right now. And then I want to grow my personal brand, of course, right? My YouTube and Instagram. So I do this on YouTube, and then I also have an Instagram at @MichaelShammas_SSC. But yeah, I want to do that to help feed the gym. I feel like they feed each other, right? Only good things can come of that. And I want to make a lot of money, right? And I'm going to talk about why in the next video. And it's not entirely selfish. But what I like most about working with clients at Starting Strength Boston, as opposed to like powerlifting, which is like what I was planning on doing, which I'm very, very glad I did not do, is that there's regular people, right? Which is like, sounds disrespectful maybe if you take it that way, but they're not like athletic freaks, right? A lot of them are very unathletic, like I am if you watch my fitness video, but they're just regular people, and I identify as a regular person, right? So it is much more fulfilling helping someone like that get to a level that other people in the gym look at and they're like, whoa, that person is, like way up here, right? Like if you get an average dude to a 225 bench and a 4-5 deadlift, as I talked about in that response video that I made, there's someone out there saying that you can't do that, but I do that like literally all the time, in less than a year usually. So like if you take an average dude to those numbers and he goes to off in the wild to a commercial gym, people are like staring and gawking and whatnot, which is great, right? So I like doing that. That's very fun. There's also just like so much nonsense and so much deceit on social media and on the internet and in the fitness space that it's refreshing to work with normal people, help them achieve results. And I only improve through doing this, right? And helping these people. And then also the other thing is that there are a lot of different demographics at the gym. So most of my clients are 40 plus, And then a lot of them are 60 plus, and then my oldest client is actually in her 90s, turning 100 soon, which is pretty wild. I wrote an article about her. Her name is Roseanne. You can go find that on the Starting Strength website. But yeah, I learned a lot from those older clients, right? Because they have a lot of life experience. Our gym is not cheap. It's pretty expensive. So like, it's almost like a filter. Like I pretty much only work with successful people, which is great. So I get to learn a lot, pick their brains, pick up a lot of stuff. But yeah, most of the time these people coming in, their goals are not even related to getting incredibly strong, right? It may just be like not hurting, feeling better, feeling more confident. If they're older, it's like not having osteoporosis, not having sarcopenia, diabetes, and all this stuff. And then it really doesn't take that long to actually get them to those goals, which is great. Some people, their goal is just to like stick to a fitness plan, right? They just get used to starting something and quitting, or like just sticking to anything, right? So the best compliment I can receive is definitely not like you're a good coach or you're so strong. I definitely don't care about that one. But it's watching them come into the gym and leave the gym with a smile on their face, hearing them laugh. We like to joke around a lot. Watching them make new friends with their classmates, and then also me making new friends with those lifters as well. It's a great time. There's really nothing better. Like there's nothing I'd rather be doing. It's very fulfilling. It's very important to me. I take it very seriously. So yeah, similarly, there's so much negativity in the world lately, and I just feel like super fortunate to do something that feels like an overwhelming force for good and really feels right at the end of the day. Like at its very core, like it feels like I'm doing the right thing when I'm there, and the people I'm working with. But yeah, that's really why I coach and what I like about it, why I plan to continue doing it for a long, long time. And yeah, the next video, we're gonna talk about the finances, right? The dark side. So I guess we'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, I'll see you guys in that video. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you want to see next, and I'll see you guys then. All right, goodbye.